This Father's Day at Lowe's, score free gifts for the greatest dad. Right now, get a free Blackstone 8-piece accessory kit when you buy a Blackstone 28-inch griddle. Plus, get 2 free Select Craftsman V20 tools when you buy an RP brushless drill and impact driver combo kit. Shop these deals and more this Father's Day at Lowe's. You know, you save. Valid through 6/15 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want is a great feeling. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with a personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
28 years, 4 months, 13 days, and 11 hours. That was my age at the moment. Mom left the world and me behind. I had been staying in the apartment and commuting to the hospital, but I couldn't bring myself to stay nights. So I was not there when Mom took a final breath. I didn't hear her last words. Maybe she would have whispered, "You'll be okay, Michael. Keep living. Be happy." The doctors told me she passed peacefully in her sleep. The ringing in my ears brought out their assurances. After she was gone, I did the same thing I always had. I hid. My only company was her voice, which held up in my mind. Sometimes the voice apologized for leaving me behind, or it would berate me for abandoning. She wasn't alone. It would be Dad. He would slur like he used to after a couple of six-packs and shout the hateful shit I grew up with. I was 29 and huddled up in my dark apartment. Maybe out of grief, I obsessed over finding some way to bring Mom back. It may sound irrational, but her death left me with no other solutions but the supernatural. In a fugue state, I dug through the deep web and old forums. I had spilled liters of my blood throughout that year of rituals. Seeing the dark red liquid flow from my body calmed me. Her lingering voice, buried in my thoughts, urged me to look deeper. Through many ceremonies, I recognized telltale tugs that connected me to the paranormal. Those little signs kept me going. They were fate admitting its mistake. I had dug so deep on the internet, I was sure I'd hit a dead end soon. But after one late night of sifting through dead links, buried long ago and archived, I found the key to what I've been looking for. The phone began with an image of a stone tablet with ancient Arabic writing. The original poster had requested a translation of his tablet from a fringe linguistics community. He said this tablet buried in the sixth of an excavation mission in the Middle East. He felt a strange draw to it and believed it chose him, so he hid his discovery from his team. After some debate in the forum, they settled on it being a method for summoning a jinn. Legend said the creature would grant any wish for an appropriate price. After stating he'd try the ritual himself, the original poster disappeared, never appearing on the forum again. Nobody else had the stomach for it, especially when it asked for a flesh sacrifice. But I knew there was something different about this summoning, some force I couldn't comprehend guiding me, and I wouldn't miss the chance. First, the ritual required a letter with requests. Next, the summoner had to mark the letter with their blood and wrap an offering inside. Finally, it had to be placed on the ground and burned. Just reading all of this, I felt an energetic buildup in my room. It was dangerous, but the static was just as exciting. I grabbed some paper and scrawled out my wish. Demon, name your price. I tried in vain to stifle my screams as I sought out a section of the ear, the dull steak knife. Through tears, I got a deep gash in my palm, a fresh addition to my ever-growing collection of scars. The blood dripped into the extreme scrap paper. I sparred my big light. It disappeared into a blue fireball, vanishing before my I shivered in the frightening cold that swept through my apartment. Pure silence engulfed the world. The tension was so thick that I trembled, teeth grinding together. Where is it? I thought. Holy shit, did it work? With the lights on, my sight was useless. Like a clock's ticking echoed painfully against my sensitive ears. I got up to find the switch. My legs were jiggling. I shivered and collapsed at my feet. I wasn't trapped in a box. It was more like a lifeless void. My ears were louder and louder, and my heart hammered. An constant great shriek from inside danger. After a barrel of life crawled aimlessly, I found a wall with no against it. I thought you shoot me. How did I? Jim, where are you? I told you to serve me. I shrieked into the darkness. My voice was back, oppressive silence. What chunk is it off? I thought coincidence was the answer, but it was pathetic. Was I fooled? Definitely not a Jim. The seconds passed on. They may as well have been decades. Was I alone? Did the Jim not fully cross over? Finally, there was something. A meandering whistle that filled the void with its exciting melody. Then, a chuckle. In the impenetrable darkness, there did speak. Hello, fragile human. So afraid. Why? I won't find you. A whispery voice settled around me. It was coming from right over my shoulder. I read you into that. Still need you. I know what you give me. Broken heart. No, fix it. Even as I cleared his voice, I whipped my head around the room, but as it spoke, the voice echoed first behind me, then in front, then reverberated loud as I cave. You piqued my interest. I want to see you slow. The Jim's voice left. You're so close already, but I don't want to see what it takes to find you. His voice wavered between gruff deep tones and high-pitched, accented speech. Two glowing eyes like hydrants opened into the arts for me. Maybe a few miles away, and light flooded back into the room. It had simple but alluring androgynous features, with black hair down to the ground. It was very tall and thin, and wore a white three-piece suit. Its eyes shined like the bulb of a fish. It stretched up into its cheek, and its short fangs looked until they spurted. And I didn't expect. Crushed me to the pressure made me move. Its flow was relief, the infinite distance shrinking. Once it stood just a few feet away from me, it stared down at my trembling body like a prey. I couldn't break away. Please stop, I whispered. No, my fun is just beginning. Its mouth open, unhinged, like it was going to devour me. It drew closer. I knew that my head would fit snugly in its jaws, being ripped open there. Its long, pale fingers caressed the place felt into its beard. Explain to me, Michael, what you want, and I will tell you what I will take from you. Jim whispered to me. Its mouth twitches from the veins of my neck. The Jim backed away from me, twirled on its heel before finding the seat on the back of the sofa. I'm not going to ask if I want a drink. It sounded amused, which I figured was best for my safety, so I needed to keep it that way. I was too captivated to speak for a long moment, leaving me gawking with my mouth open. I don't tolerate waiting for long. Its voice darkened, and its eyes shone brighter. Every second brought me closer to being ripped to shreds. Michael, put the tea on now. I was scared shitless. How could it expect hospitality? I pulled myself to my feet with incredible effort and darted out of the room. When I boiled the water in my kettle, I spilled a bit on my hand and nearly dropped the entire thing. The Jim laughed at the shelf on the couch and crossed one leg over the other. Tell me about your mother, Michael. Even while sitting, I could nearly meet its eyes. chair appeared from nowhere and landed behind me. I lost my balance and stumbled into it. While I caught my breath, the gin was already tapping its foot, resting its fist on its chin. Thickly bored.
With a Venmo debit card, you can Venmo for distant friends. You can use your balance in so many ways. You can Venmo everything. Your gas, you can Venmo this. How about snacks? You can Venmo that. Your favorite band's merch, you can Venmo this. Or their next show, you can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to pay for it. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by Bank and is serviced by MasterCard International Corporate Card Issues. Everyone MasterCard is at the Venmo for specific requirements.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passion. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
I cleared my throat and found my voice. She was the most important person in my life. I tripped over my words. Dad always screamed at me when I stuttered. Even when I was an adult, I couldn't forget cowering every time I flubbed anything. Mom was my only friend, my only family too. Without her, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I rambled. Having to dredge it all up always threw me off. The world is so loud. Too many people, too many things. I can't take it. I hit my forehead as if to reset myself. Mom never gave up on me. She held me when I cried and made the bad things disappear. The bad people. The kettle whistled loudly, causing me to jump. The tea is ready. Will you keep rattling on? Will you make me a cup? The gin interrupted. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Its gaze followed me, and a sadistic smile right under those eyes made my skin crawl. I brought the gin's tea. It stood and closed our distance as I entered the room. Put the tea down over there. It gestured to an end table. Your backstory already bored me. I paused for dramatic effect. I can create a divergence in reality, as real as this one, just for you, where your mom will be alive and healthy. Is that what you desire? Yes or no? The gin drummed his fingers. The cup of tea on the end table steamed. But the gin had no interest in it. It never cared about the tea, did it? I thought miserably. What does that mean? How would... My chest tightened as it put a sharp finger in my throat. Yes or no, Michael? What about that did you not understand? It's normal. I understand. I do. I held my hands up in surrender, but my body shook so much that it was hard to stay in that position. The gin smirked and withdrew its claw. Yes, that's exactly what I want. As much as I feared for my life, the glimmer of hope kept me from collapsing on the spot. If I could have Mom back, it would all be worth it. It will be a cost, and it will certainly be steep. How about your life? Are you willing to die for your precious mother? The gin's nasty grin was widening. You love her, don't you? You owe her everything, don't you? His face drew closer to mine. Well, my face went down. Mom was hungry. I thought I was prepared to give anything for her. But with death inches from my face, I realized what a coward I really was. No matter how awful life was, no matter how much I suffered, I was too afraid to die. If I sacrificed my life to save Mom's, I wouldn't even be around to be by her side. So what would be the point? I couldn't give my life, even for her. Mom understood. She always put me first. I couldn't live without her, so she should be able to live without me. You're right. I can't give my life anything but that. I hid my face in shame. My tears welled up, and as much as I tried, I lost my composure. My legs gave out, but I collapsed. Before hitting the ground, someone whistling corresponded me, holding my body in place. The gin stood high over me with that awful grin across the woman's face. I admit she was a coward to look at the eyes on you, but you exceeded my expectations. Bravo, I chided. Well, your life never particularly interested me. I'm more curious about that little mind of yours. The Jinn placed one finger on my forehead. What do you mean, my mind? I asked. The Jinn stayed plugged into my skin, and I moved in my blood. Well, I have seen thousands of humans live and die, but my curiosity has yet to be satiated. I enjoy humans. You are full of endless possibilities. The Jinn glided into the middle of the room, its arms spread wide like a sea for a great monster. It moved with reckless haste, but it missed it. As I don't have any missed it, save for my jars on a shelf in the office. I know too little about the human brain. I want to take it, stretch it, and mold it. I want to pull the threads of sanity into the absolute limit. The Jinn had a wistful look at it. My fancies are just now. They are now useless carcasses, filling hospital spaces. Their catatonic bodies being swollen and slow. You, Michael, have something different. You know that it's there. Join me in a little experiment. That is all I ask. I flinched as his hand grew closer to me. How am I different? And what kind of experiment? I braced myself. What would set the creature on? I knew it wasn't fond of questions, so I kept my gaze on the floor, hiding from those blinding eyes. Firstly, how should I put it? You're the perfect type of... It's quite simple, really. I want to test your mental fortitude to find the human limit. I want to isolate you, Michael. Isolate you so completely that this world will be a distant dream. You will remain in your solitude for what will feel like 100 years. Not a second will have passed out here. The Jinn's face picked up with excitement at the prospect of my situation. If you give up before the time is up, you will never see Mom again. And, of course, you will pay for wasting my time. Believe me, you will wish I had killed you. It held out a big but delicate hand. Do we have a deal? It never dropped that quick smile. There wasn't enough information, but I couldn't trust the Jinn. I didn't think it would lie to me. From what I remembered from my research, their kind never lied. But it spoke in half-truths and withheld information. It wasn't a game I could win. As much of a risk as it was, I needed to ask more. Will I started. The Jinn put a finger to its lips, and it stole my voice. No more questions, Michael. I will not physically harm you, and all you have to do is stay in the space I create for you. I will not sabotage you. The whole purpose of this is to gain knowledge. I would not ruin that. The Jinn was becoming impatient once again. This is your last chance to back out, with consequences, of course. But you wouldn't do that, Michael. Shake my hand. The Jinn practically growled. The hand would swallow mine. It would crush it to bits, break my bones to tiny shards, and its promises could steal my soul. Even knowing all of this, I couldn't deny the spark of hope in my chest. If I took the Jinn's deal and succeeded, I would have my life back. If I failed, I would probably be tortured or enslaved, or some equally horrible outcome. If I back out now, I could live out my miserable existence until I begged for death, too cowardly to end my own life. The consequence of not trying was just as bad as that of trying and failing. I had nothing to lose, right? I put my trembling hand into its cold, smooth skin. The Jinn's massive fingers swallowed up my own as we shook on the deal. Well, Michael, welcome to a century of nothingness. Good luck. You might find solitude to be a friend. You may also find it a torturous burden. See you in 100 years, it said, and released my hand. The Jinn stepped to the center of the room and held out an arm. A plain white door rose from the floor. The Jinn's eyes shone until all I could see was yellow light. Go on ahead, Michael, it ordered. The door swung open, and I stood before the darkness on the other side. Before I could step through, the Jinn put a hand on my back and pushed me, sending me stumbling over the threshold. I screamed when I lost my balance. As I plummeted into the void, the Jinn waved at me while growing smaller and smaller until it disappeared. I fell for hours. Eventually, my descent halted, and I hit the floor. I was in a flawlessly white space. The djinn had dressed me in simple, loose clothing that I could not pry off despite every effort. The floor had no friction whatsoever. My attempts to get up led to falling, not that I could feel the impact. There was no bed, bathroom, and nothing in the room besides the spotless walls, floor, and ceiling, save for a single object on a simple shelf out of reach. An hourglass the size of my body trickled sand at a snail's pace, what must have been 1 grain a minute. I scooted across the floor until I was up against the smooth, slick walls. The first day of my new life began.
Summer's here, and Nordstrom has everything you need for your best dress season ever. From beach days and weddings to weekend getaways and your everyday wardrobe. Discover stylish options under $100 from tons of your favorite brands like Mango, Skims, Princess Polly, and Madewell. It's easy too with free shipping and free returns. In-store order pickup and more. Shop today in stores, online at Nordstrom.com, or download the Nordstrom app.
NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my fancy in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know? All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear. Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get 200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Anyone plus the president. That's the first one I will do. $1 possible party. Bonus issues is not trouble. Bonus is expire 7 days on best restrictions. Pockets. Full terms and direct contract sounds good. Gamble crime. Call 1-800-BETS-ON.
Day 1. I spent most of the day acclimating to my new environment. My brain couldn't make sense of the experience. There was no smell, no sound, no shadows, temperature, nothing. That one is the hardest to explain. But it was neither hot nor cold, just the temperature that didn't register with my brain. I had an initial panic about the feeling of being so wholly trapped, but this loneliness wasn't new to me. I lived almost my entire life in a few hundred square feet, and didn't want it any other way. My brain was built for solitude. I had been training for this my entire life. But I soon learned that this kind of isolation was different. I was used to entertainment, food, and other bodily needs. This place had no external stimulation, just my mind. I was trapped alone with the thoughts I spent a lifetime hiding from. What if the gym was life? I thought. What if I never make it out of here? My mind raced faster. What if I'm dead? What if meeting the gym was a dream? More and more disastrous outcomes reared their ugly heads. I'm not going to make it. What if I fall? Who knows what it will do to me? I sat against the wall. I may not have had a heart attack, but my mind was scrambling. It had only been 1 day, but the cracks already showed. The hourglass was no help. It only held a few grains of sand so far, and I couldn't track time. There was a century ahead of me. A lifetime. How could I possibly hold on that long? Whenever I wanted to quit, I saw the djinn's teeth ripping me apart, and Mom's corpse rotting to the ground. So, I gritted my teeth, clenched my fists, and watched the grains trickle to the bottom of the hourglass, one by one. Day 30? What was I at? 2 million? I had been counting since the first day without stopping for a second. The constant sprinkling in my head kept the flood of thoughts in the bed. Eventually, the wind stopped pumping. The past silence, screams running out, they were voices, memories of my past and warnings for the future. It was language, and we go home. I don't want to be here anymore. I hate yourself. Where's Mom? Give me Mom. She knew what to do. Give yourself away. Stupid. Pathetic. You deserve this. You literally asked for it. What do you have to complain about? You couldn't protect Mom from Dad. You could leave her alone. You're as healthy as ever here. You really trust that monster that brought you here. You bet you would. You have been so gentle. This kind of place isn't right for you. I miss you so much. I needed you as much as you needed me. tears streamed down her imaginary face. It was always you and me. Until your father was taken away, we only had each other. I always loved you. You don't need to hurt yourself for me. Dad told me to grow up. Look at you, weak as ever. I tried to make you presentable, but you never had it in you. You still don't. Go ahead. Be miserable for the next 100 years. Maybe you'll get your bitch of a mom back. I don't care. Where did I go wrong? How did you become so pathetic? Dad's voice drowned out everything else. No matter how much I chewed, my fingernails wouldn't tear off. So I rocked myself back and forth while gnawing at my numb hands and arms. It made me feel so guilty and so small. There was nothing and nobody to save me. All I had were my thoughts. That was hell. Not fire and torture, but my own company. The tattered thread of my sanity threatened to snap. So I made a decision. If I were trapped away from the real world, I would make my own, all within the confines of my head. This crazy swirl of voices was cool, and I could do better. Maybe it was delusional, but I might as well do something. Year, day. In my beautiful neighborhood with my kind, caring neighbors, I took my morning walk like every day for the past decade. The sun was shining, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. I strolled down my block with a spring in my step. My place was a bit shabby, but it had a real charm to it. I bought it cheap and fixed it up myself. I took pride in my little abode. I had finished my morning calisthenics and was off to work. I made it to the office right on time. Ruth, a larger black woman with a gentle smile, placed a stack of folders on my desk. Ruth leaned down to my level and said, "Today's cases, sweetheart." She put her hand on mine. "You work harder than anyone, Michael. If you ever need some rest, I can pick up the slack." She frowned and patted my shoulder. I appreciated her care for me, but things had changed since I began my life in that town. I took care of myself, and I supported my friends. "Don't worry," I assured her. "I haven't worked a day since I got here. Nothing in my life has ever been more fulfilling." I beamed. The folders on my desk showed displaced children in the area. It was my job to find homes for the kiddos. That was my calling. Seeing their smiles as a happy family picked them up healed my broken heart. For many years, I served my community. I received smiles and hugs. I held warm little hands and guided them to a full life of love I never had. But all good things had to end. For the past year, little things had gone wrong. That day, I came to a head. I picked up the cases and clapped them against the desk. One folder slipped out of the pile and onto the floor. I went to pick it up and froze when I saw the face on the pile. There was a photo of myself at 13 years old. It said both my parents were dead, one killed in prison, the other by cancer. The folder slipped out of my trembling hand. Ruth? I barely got my words out. "What the hell is this?" "Oh, a real sad case, that one. The dad was a heavy drinker and an angry drunk. He beat his wife black and blue. One day, he got in a bar fight, killed some poor guy, and was locked up for life." "There's no way," I muttered. Ruth continued. "That's how it goes. Anyway, he was stabbed a few years later in the cell. The worst part is that his wife died of cancer around the same time, leaving the poor kid alone. He's an orphan living in the system now." She paused before revealing more. "He won't speak, they say. Some kind of trauma." I put the folder in front of her face. "It's me, Ruth. Why? It's me." I needed to compose myself. The focus that kept everything together was slipping. "What do you mean, dear? You're right here with me." She took another peek at the folder. "It says Ezekiel Jacobson." "Michael, are you okay? You need some rest. Please don't force yourself." Sure enough, my face was gone from the folder. The sky flickered outside. The network of threads holding this reality together showed in my mind's eye. I wove the sky back together. I walked out of the building, my head on a swivel. "Hiya, Michael!" Jonathan called out to me. An older German man, Jonathan was on break from doing his little odd jobs. He was kind, as good with a hammer as he was at giving solid advice. "Are you okay, bud? You look a bit pale. I'm fine, Johnny. Just having a bit of a day, that's all. I couldn't keep my eyes on him. There could have been inconsistencies or contaminations. Okay, pal. Listen, if you need anything, I'm here for you. He placed a hand on my shoulder. You know, Michael, I never had a son myself. But if I did, I would have been proud if he was half the man you are. He smiled and said the exact words I needed to hear. Yeah, thanks. We met eyes, but far behind, just barely visible. I saw my dad walk out of a building. He caught me with a scornful glare over his hand, gone as quickly as it came. The sky rattled when I caught sight of him. My vision swam, and I nearly collapsed. I couldn't even feel rage after all those years. All that washed over me was fear. Some things never change. Dad wasn't welcome. He was a glitch in the system. How did he break through? How could I keep him out for good? My world was out of focus, and my consciousness shook. An inky blackness swallowed the sky. Once again, I dove into the structure of the world. Something was breaking and letting the pain in, and too much pain would tear the whole thing apart. Every time my concentration slipped, just the slightest bit, I'd lose something else. The dam holding back the memories of reality. Holes and leaks had formed, causing tears in the narrative I wrote for myself. I patched it quickly, but more cracks appeared as quickly as I patched. It was time to increase my diligence and focus on my life in my new world. I didn't know how many more disturbances my world could handle before it collapsed. I tried to push through the next few days, but the dialogue was strange, and the narratives were incoherent. Heavy rocks blocked my stream of consciousness, and more little reminders pulled me back into the ocean of trauma that I had built my world on top of. It took a while, but I slipped into my routine once again. Looking for more haunting stories to add to your playlist? After Dark is a brand new horror podcast that delivers terrifying tales in a soothing female voice. Each episode dives into eerie mysteries and scary encounters, perfect for those who crave late-night frights. For fans of real horror, After Dark won't disappoint. Tune in to After Dark today by searching After Dark in the search bar wherever you get your podcasts.
NBA playoff in here, and I'm getting my best in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know? All sorts of interesting stuff. Even Charles Barkley's greatest fear. Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers spend $5 get 200 in bonus bets if you win FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Plus, press 9. Must be first online local wage. $5 across the board. Bonus issues on withdrawal bonus expires 7 days after the season. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sports. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS.
By the time I hit my 50s, I'd learned a few things, like how family is precious. Work can always wait. And 99% of people over 50 already have the virus that causes shingles. Not everyone at risk will develop it, but I did. The painful, blistering rash disrupted my life for weeks. Don't learn about your shingles risk the hard way. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
Year unknown. Day later. Things had been slow for her. We were going through a season when few families were looking for adoption, but we held down the fort. No matter what, not a single child would be left behind. Since the last incident, it had been quiet and lifeless. My friends' expressions had lost their light. Their faces were often frozen and emotionless. The news was the same as always. The stunning anchor with olive skin and brown eyes on the TV blared in the office.
Once again, we haven't seen these guys in comfortable weather.
He said with a grin.
Yesterday, Jezebel lost her stuff fair. The field retrieved it. Fear continues as real work in the community. Thanks from all of us to the fire department.
He tapped the stack of papers against the desk and went silent. I was running out of news ideas, and things got very mundane. Day after day, they reported on cats and trees and fluff pieces that made progressively less sense. It put me constantly on edge. In this fragile world, I spent every moment afraid something would inevitably push it over the edge. The anchor suddenly dropped the grin and stared off into the void. He looked back up, now sporting a grin too wide for his face.
What a sweet little town, Michael. How quiet. This world you built for yourself.
The anchor's smile widened.
How much longer can you last, Michael?
His eyes flashed yellow.
Hey, Michael, why don't you look at the hourglass?
I pushed my body into the chair, white-knuckling the ornaments. The anchor stood up and locked his eyes, not on camera, but on mine.
Who knows? Maybe time is nearly up. Come on, just a beat.
He sat back in his chair. He laughed as he swiveled back and forth. The hourglass was a looming reminder of just how bad it really was. I never checked it. If only a few years had passed, it humbled. The anchor drummed at the desk. You really are so easy now. Delilah, the beautiful, fair-skinned secretary and office princess, stalked behind me. She and David had an on-again, off-again relationship. They loved each other, but neither could muster up the courage to make the first move. That's the story I gave them. I created my dream girl and couldn't fathom us together, so I gave her a dream guy. Delilah, with a familiar grin and glowing yellow eyes, slowly made her way to me with a dance routine. She stepped gently and effortlessly, hopping on a desk and twirling like nobody was watching. Her elegant steps were entrancing. This trance into the moment she spoke. She held my head in her hands. Aren't you sick of your imaginary friends? Of this cardboard world held together by twine? Delilah moved within inches of my face. All these sickly sweet drones, constructed entirely from scraps of the TV tropes and lazy stereotypes that convinced you of what an ideal life would look like. Delilah backed up and sat atop the desk across from me. It's sad to be surrounded by the life you never had. You could call that a luxury. Delilah poked me with a foot. It's faith and faith, Michael. The grin stayed plastered on me, even as she spoke. Memories flashed through my mind. Little things I locked away. For a moment, I was back in my bed, just like your mom died. That old maid was racked with sobs and disgustingly nourished. A walking corpse. I held a family portrait with bands cut out from my chest. After mom died, I used to retreat into fantasy worlds all the time. And it felt fake. Everything felt fake. Even my real life. The actual pain I went through felt fake. Then, I snapped back into my world. Luke, and Ross, was there to meet me. Luke put an arm around me.
Well, Michael, quit or go mad.
Luke's sharp teeth clacked as he spoke. His large frame and stern features pressured me as his grip tightened.
Either way, it will certainly be entertaining.
Luke brought me up with him. His eyes turned back to their deep, piercing blue. He suddenly went back to the character, relaxing on my shoulder.
Michael, you good, buddy? You look like you've seen a ghost.
My legs gave out, and my stomach wrenched.
I have to go.
I stood up and lay down, away from my imaginary friends and coworkers, away from my fake job that furthered me to delusion. My mad dash led me back home, where the place I'm calling home was. I opened the door to the empty living room and walked in, crashing onto my couch. I was home. Even in this dream world, I couldn't really make it without it. I was playing my role just right. Without her, it felt like I had no anchor to any reality. Not even my own little game of house. The kitchen was completely empty when I stepped through the onion. I couldn't waste mental energy recreating taste, and my diet before moving to this place was just frozen foods and snacks. I looked at my dining table and was greeted with a shock that caused my entire world to nearly fall apart. It was Mom. She sat perfectly still in the chair in the room's corner.
Mom,
I shouted, running up to her.
how are you? I thought you'd know.
I put my arms around her, but I hit an empty air.
Mom, it's me. It's Michael.
She didn't react, her face frozen in a vacant stare. I waved my hand in front of her face and didn't get a response. From the beginning, I tried to imagine Mom in this world, but my mind blocked all paths. The guilt over failing her was too powerful. Aside from that, when I did nearly succeed in imagining her, something was always wrong. It ended up being uncanny and romantic. It was painful all to keep her out when I went to fight. Before Dad went to prison, Mom would protect me at the cost of her frail body. After that, we would huddle together in an unending darkness. As much as we were the only comfort of the other had, I think we also sucked the life out of each other. I stand and look at her. You shouldn't be here! I slammed the wall next to me, rattling the house. You're not her! Get the fuck out now! I screamed, with tears in my eyes. My composure eroded. Time stopped in my world, and cracks appeared in the air. The intangible thing that looked like Mom fixed me with an empty stare. Tears welled in her eyes and ran down her cheeks. All the while, she kept that stoic expression. Her tears threw me back to those miserable memories. We were back in my room, where she had to coax me to leave the safety of my blankets after Dad finished me. But I was a kid again. She lifted the blankets and hugged me. She mouthed something I couldn't make out while crying over the escalator. I closed my eyes. There was an ear-splitting sound of glass being broken. I opened them again. My warmth had vanished. I was back in the goddamn white room. I averted my eyes from the hourglass. It would be some time before I was stable enough to recreate my world. As I began to things as the mask saw that place. The room felt too small. The walls pushing against me in every direction, crushing me. It was so quiet. My heart wasn't beating, and I couldn't breathe. Out of the silence came a single sound that demanded my attention. The clink of tiny grains of sand bouncing off the glass. I knew I shouldn't check. I knew it would break me. I had to know. It was a complete morbid curiosity that demanded I turn my head. So I did. Something snapped inside of me. One final string binding me together. The last time I checked it was a little under 1/10 of the way there. That time, it was 1/20 of the way home. Stars swam in my vision, and I shrieked, drowning out the little sound of the hourglass. I smashed my head on the floor, immediately, of course. I paused briefly. I noticed a small slip of paper under the hourglass. I grabbed it, hoping for some kind of help. And ran it right for the chin. It read, "You didn't think the hourglass was accurate. I put it there for decoration. May its beautiful and sleek design ease some of your distress. Don't worry, you're nearly there. Or, perhaps, it has been but a few days. Time is quite unlike, with nothing real to measure it against." I thrashed and shouted, and smashed my frail body for hours, maybe days. No, maybe even years. It took longer than I could fathom, but I found the tiny scraps of my determination. I had to make that hell worth it. It had to mean something in the end. No matter what. Year 60. Year 20. Could have been 80. Around her face, and it became a sweet scene. I forgot her voice, but she would never make a sound. I finally forgot who she was. Her son. All that remained was a name. I'll ultimately honor this as the influence of her family. My fractured mind would no longer sustain it. As I felt it, this locked up to make a mistake of lives. His ways were alive. He would be reborn, Michael. She couldn't leave him. It was fine. Every day, I was the same ones. My imaginary friends ran already, originally done. My co-workers now looked like grotesque caricatures of themselves. David had a big nose from the beginning, but as time passed, he'd lost all his features except one massive nose and his horrific, fleshy face. Delilah's face was now dominated by a huge pair of gold lips. Their voices were scrambled. Every word sounded like it was spoken alongside dozens of others. Which voice was their own? I have no idea. I walked out of the office. Whether or not I stayed meant nothing. It wasn't worth taking the people to photos. They already knew what they were. Just stacks and stacks of my face with names of other backstories. My home came into sight as I drifted down the long main street. Buildings had disappeared, and I didn't even know which ones. The sky was an infinite white backdrop. I walked past the K-12 school that had every child in my world and saw them playing in the yard.
Play with us, Michael!
They shouted together as one. The kids all looked like veiled imitations of me at different ages. I hadn't seen my reflection in decades. There was no way to remember how I used to look. Once, I created a mirror in my world, but when I looked at it, all I saw was a blurry face with a nasty, sharp-toothed grin and yellow eyes that sucked in the world around me. There was a recent addition to my house. The thing that looked like Mom had left, and something that looked like Dad had replaced her. He wore the flannel and jeans he'd returned home from work in before demanding food off my bundle. His face was stuck in a familiar scowl. It looked just like that when he hit Mom and threw things at me.
Michael, Fred, weak,
Small, pathetic. Dad's voice cut out and ended with static. He repeated that chant endlessly until each syllable was seared into my consciousness. There really wasn't much to that moment. Maybe my memories were skewed. What if Dad had woodlands? No. Time and trauma had washed the details away until all I could remember was fear and sadness. I would fantasize about him being killed by a cellmate in prison. Hopefully, it hurt. Hopefully, it would be over something meaningless, like not sharing a heart now. Wouldn't that have been nice if there wasn't even a single person to give his death a thought? I imagined him on the floor of his cell with a toothbrush shaved through his neck. His cellmate would laugh at how pathetic it was. Then, his body would be cremated, shoved in a plastic bag, and thrown in a fucking dumpster. I would go to the landfill, find his ashes, and dance away. It was time to accept that I was a The sky was white, a white bird pressed up by darkness. Few houses were left, and the once full streets were devoid of light. The air was laced with networks of cracks, and shards of broken constructs littered the ground. There was a persistent ringing in my ears. It grew louder and louder, reaching volumes I felt were impossible. The podium I stood behind was shoddy in sound. I tilted my head back and yelled into the sky. It didn't respond.
My friends, my only companions left in the world. It's time to say goodbye.
The last residents had gathered in front of me. They were faceless apparitions that wandered around, faded in and out as they pleased. They collapsed to the ground, screaming in anguish or crying hysterically.
Please, Michael, we don't want to die. We don't want to leave you.
The latter shouted in a one-woman chorus of voices. Of my residence, she was the closest thing left to a real human. The last with human skin and hands that a priest would have dreamed. Look at that. Hands were always hard for me, you know. I always drew the thumb too long and the fingers too long. Even if it were Mom would put it in the fridge. She pat my head too and give me candy as a reward. I snapped back to attention. I can't stay, Delilah. We'll fall apart. So will I. Thank you for being there with me all these years. I love you all. I did a deep breath and closed my eyes. My residents shrieked and howled. Their anguished wails could have never last long in my world. Memories resurfaced. Hey, they sound like those black horse riders from The Lord of the Rings. Ringworms, right? Mom and I used to watch the whole trilogy in a day. Dad never let us finish, though. He wanted the TV to himself, so he would snatch the remote from my hands and yell at me to leave. The deafening sound of glass shattering drowned out everything else. My world fractured, and the pieces disappeared into the abyss. Colors drained from the scenery like smoke in the sight. The scene dredged up another memory. Yeah, it reminds me of when I dropped one of my Hot Wheels cars into the garbage disposal. I nicked my middle finger on the blade pretty deep. The toy got for fixing me up. Mom flipped her lid and scolded me for hours. She told Dad, maybe expecting him to back her up. He looked at me for a bit and turned around. He told me the stitches weren't worth a $30 copay, and I had to suck it up. Flashes of my life before kept pouring in, each hazier and more outlandish than the last. Eventually, once they conflicted, tried Hot Wheels. I howled with laughter, sitting on the ground as my world fell apart. Dad's figure stood a few yards away in the center of my dying world. His face was blurry, but his limbs were all damaged. And he still had the same denim jeans and steel-toed boots. An old faded friend. He had haunted me for decades, following me in strange daily curses. But only a couple of years before my world's end, he could barely string together words. I couldn't get rid of him, no matter what. And when I tried to push him away, the closer he stuck to me. I looked him dead in what may have been his eyes, and spoke to him for the final time in my world. What did I do to you? I don't get why you hated me. He gave no reaction whatsoever. Nothing would change. Nothing would give me closure. I tried, Dad. I really did. Mom never let me outside as a kid. It really was just the three of us. That's all I had. I walked up closer to him until we were meeting face to face. I didn't do anything to make you hate me. Hell, I even tried to get your attention for years before I realized it was pointless. What the fuck did you want from me? It was unmoving. I got much louder and angry, seizing him by the shoulders. You know, maybe if you bothered to raise me, I would have been closer to the son you wanted. But you didn't. Because you were weak, Dad. Even weaker than me. I was crying. You were a gross, ugly, alcoholic loser. Your wife hated you. Your kid was terrified of you. And you couldn't say you died. How pathetic is that? Grow the fuck up. He gripped tight on Dad's shoulders. You're a stupid drunk who got his stupid ass locked in prison for the rest of his worthless life. I collapsed on the ground, yelling through tears. I wish I could kill you myself. But even under all this, I never have it in me. I was on my knees on the ground, gripping his coat with all my strength. I'm getting Mom back. You couldn't dream of doing what I've done. You would have cried that we're alone in here. His blurry face remained unreadable. I wish I could have told you all this in the real world, even though I know I would never get through to you. I let go of his coat and stared at the street as it faded to the all-consuming light. I heard cracking, and then an explosion of glass with Dad shattered into millions of tiny pieces. And it was gone. Right in the precious world, where I spent the vast majority of my life, was gone forever.
When you and interest your scriptures here, give a really bar answer to any bar. It's a honey mix, right? We've got a Big Mac sauce, double dipped in mud loin ranch, more ranch, and pea chili with crispy stir. Now, it's like, raise the rest. Raise the sail. Raise the sail. But I gotta have chicken protein overhang. But, wait, stop. Real price, scale soon food. Big sales effect. Not the best of sales. With LinkedIn ads, you target the right people by industry style title and more. We can give you a $100 credit for the next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Year. How they go by. Day. One day closer. When I regained awareness of that god-awful moment, the hourglass was still there. It had been some time since my world was destroyed. Maybe years. Maybe millennia. The hourglass would bear with me. The sand was divided vertically, filling only the right side of the hourglass. Occasionally, the sand left the hourglass and danced around the room. When I tried to destroy it, it floated just out of reach. When I turned away to ignore it, it drifted back into my sight. I spent every moment taking inventory of what memories I had left. If I remembered them, I could reinforce their existence to prevent them from fading away. Things were desperate and getting worse. I couldn't draw the line between dreams, waking moments in the real world, and life in my world. I went through my childhood experiences, struggling to make sense of it all. I tried to recall my past. I used to love playing with Ezekiel, the Jacobson couple's kid. We'd run in the mud and play tag when Mom wasn't watching. So much fun. I can't wait to see him again. I reminisced while lying on the floor, staring at the white void above and chuckling to myself. What else? I could never forget my fourth grade teacher, Ruth. She was the sweetest woman I had ever met. When things at home got bad, she held me close and gave me her homemade cookies. I recounted. My friends and the kind people I thought were in my life. I couldn't wait to get out of this place and meet them. Sometimes I panicked and often forgot why I was in the white space. Eventually, my mind crumbled, and I was unsure of my existence.
What is this place?
I asked the boy. I stood up and wandered around until I heard a new voice.
It's a dream, Michael.
The voice sounded like mine, but was much younger.
Who are you?
I replied.
Do you know why I'm here?
I was met with silence. The new voice answered, and it sounded the same as mine.
You're dead, Michael.
What else could this be?
You're dead.
It told me with a monotone inflection. A softer, more feminine voice cut in.
It's okay, Michael. You'll be out of here soon.
They sounded familiar, and the words filled me with warmth.
Who are you?
I asked again.
It's me, Michael. Your mom.
She replied softly. A hint of sadness tinged her voice. The space was devoid of sound for a moment.
Mom? Yeah, Mom. That could be it.
I spun in circles, searching for the source of the voices.
Excuse me, all of you. How do I get out of here? Just wake up, silly.
The young voice responded.
You don't.
The voice like mine told me.
Don't worry, Michael. You'll be home soon. I'll be waiting for you like always.
The voice that claimed to be my mom replied.
Hey, you guys seem to know me. What kind of person am I?
I asked.
I can't really remember anything. You're a gentle person, and you care about others.
The childish voice explained.
You're a selfish coward. Total failure. But you've made it this far. At least you have that.
The identical voice rebuked.
You're my kind and loving son. My only, most precious child. You're the most important person in my life.
Mom's voice comforted me.
Oh, so that's how it is.
I responded. The voices were gone, and I was alone once again. Time passed. I couldn't say how much, since I hardly ever formed a coherent thought. Mostly, I stared into the blank void. When I could think, it was like TV static. I wasn't able to string together multiple ideas or imagine anything clearly. The only things I hung on to were my name and something about being in that place because of my mom. What was I doing there? Endless solitude had been gobbling up my memories for too long. The memories left were warped and changed. Old memories combined with memories from my imaginary world, and my dreams weaved themselves into my past. I hated being trapped. I thought of one of my more lucid days. Dad once stuffed me in a closet as a punishment, and when Mom tried to stop him, he threw her across the room. Luckily, Johnny heard from outside and pulled Dad away. I reminisced about this imaginary event.
Mom told him not to call the cops, so Dad never faced any punishment. Always.
My mind went blank for a few hours after this.
I used to have this imaginary friend, but he was so creepy. Man, kids come up with the craziest things. It was huge. It had glowing eyes and a scary smile. It always kept me company. It loved its little practical jokes. We'd go back and forth for days.
I left feeling nostalgic for this fictitious life. This was my last lucid period, until the end of my life in the unending, oppressive, maddening, and empty space that I was trapped in for a century. Year 100. Day, the first of the rest of my life. Everything went black. The lights in my prison shut off in an instant. I finally opened my eyes to the ceiling of my apartment. My soft bed sheets caressed my body, and I marveled at how many objects there were. It was overstimulating. The sound of the fan, the smell of my clothes, and my senses were bombarded. It took half an hour just to acclimate to the sudden onslaught of stimuli, things barely remembered from this old life. Something went wrong. This place was familiar, but I wasn't sure why. I had a loose grasp on who I was. I had a name. Michael. There were Pink Floyd posters against my wall. My new scenery sparked some recollection. I belonged to that band. I always meant to take Delilah, but I got too nervous every time.
It was strange thinking of Delilah's name. I pictured my beloved friend and co-worker. She felt out of place. Everything felt out of place. I walked into my bathroom and looked in the mirror. A face I didn't recognize was mimicking my own face. It was wrong, terrifying. The lanky, pale man before me had one foot out the door. Heavy bags weighed down his eyes and his posture was horrible. Was it me? The smell of eggs and toast wafted from the kitchen. When I entered, I found a thin, blonde woman cooking breakfast. She had messy brown hair and rare-fitting glasses. She looked tired and sad. "Oh, Michael, dear, you're up. It's already 11 o'clock. You really slept in." She was familiar. Being unable to remember her was agitating. She wasn't. I felt things, warm, feeling painful. I looked into her eyes. "Miss? Mom? You've been gone, Mom. Where did you go?" Seeing me again, but it brought back the feeling of loss. Why? "Mom, I'm late for work." I paused and looked at my mother clock in the living room. "What work, Michael? You work from home, right?" She asked. "The kids. Are you okay, Michael?" "I am a bit. I'll make you some oatmeal." I got into my room. Saw that it was empty. Made my way where to find the bloody chunk of flesh and a handwritten note underneath the clean crumbs. The letter read, "Most congratulations, Michael. You remain the safest of any of my subjects. I fulfilled my end of the bargain, as you have undoubtedly said. Now, you may go on to live a full life, right? Whatever is left of it, that is. Jim, son of yours. Jim." Now, Russ, so familiar, also hard to place. I walked into the room with Trey. In the darkness behind him, I thought I saw a tall figure with a sharp knife from ear to ear and vacuous yellow eyes. I screamed and hid in my covers. "Michael, what's wrong? Are you okay?" She rushed to my side and rubbed the blankets. Slowly, I lowered my sheets to meet her. The shadowy monster was gone. "Mom, could you tell me who I am? My memories, they're all mixed up. Please help me." She looked at me with worry. "Michael, what's wrong? You've been acting strange all day. You can talk to me even." Rather than responding to her questions, I raised my hand. "Please, tell me who I am." She reached to place her hand on my own, causing me to flinch. "You're my kind, loving son. My only most precious child. You're the most important person in my life." Her words sounded so familiar. I must have heard them in a dream. Mom told me her favorite stories from my childhood, trying to stitch the tattered fabric of my memories back together. But some damage can't be undone. Some gashes stay open, and some holes go unpatched. I was left with a patchwork mind filled with unraveled memories. It doesn't happen often, but when I have a lucid day, I gather my thoughts and tell my story to the orderlies and men in white coats, who have already heard it countless times. I can't find my closest friends, Johnny, David, and Delilah. They keep telling me that it is just one big delusion. My friends, my workplace, my life. The face in the mirror is not my own. No. It is Michael's face, wherever he is. And now, a long, jagged smile and a pair of washed-out yellow eyes wait around every corner, in every nook and cranny, in the dark, behind every door, in my dreams, just out of sight, and in every crevice of my broken mind. Thanks for tuning in. If you prefer to listen ad-free and get access to exclusive bonus stories, consider joining Dr. No Sleep Premium. You can try it out completely free with a 7-day free trial at patreon.com/drnosleep. There's no commitment, just a chance to see if you like it. That's patreon.com/drnosleep.
The new Christmas sprinkles here, approved by Honey Mustard Spray with Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy's. trying to qualify a lower price somewhere else in the same item, we'll match you. Lowe's, we help, we save. Price match applies the same item, current price of qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
First time I died, it was because I stepped on a landmine. Blew both my legs clean off. Sent a piece of my femur straight up through my pelvis and into my intestines. Blood and shit and piss gushed everywhere. It was my fault, though. I was given one warning and finally sent into town on my own, and that was not to walk across Mrs. Lowenstein's front lawn. She hates it when we walk across her front lawn. And as I lay there dying, in agony, gasping my last breath, she made her point.
That's why they make walkways, you fucking idiot.
She definitely isn't a personable woman. Not as neighborly as, say, the Glasses, Travis, and Carol. Lovely people. Really, just lovely. Their front lawn is guarded by mini turrets. Instead of sprinkler heads that pop up to water the lawn, small gun turrets pop up and shred people's ankles. Then, as they fall over, because who can stand when your ankles are shredded? The rest of them gets shredded. But the difference between the Glasses setup and Mrs. Lowenstein's is that the Glasses have the dangers of their yard clearly marked by a simple, homemade sign on the curb. Do not approach the house. Defensive measures are in place. You have been warned. Thank you, and have a great day. See? Very nice, helpful message from a very nice couple. Mrs. Lowenstein, on the other hand, has no sign and sits in a rocker on her front porch, beckoning for people to come visit her. She likes watching folks get their lower extremities blown to smithereens. Gives her a thrill. Probably why Mr. Gorman gives new residents like me a heads up. It's not his fault I didn't listen. Now, not all the neighbors are as thoughtful as the Glasses, or as cruel as Mrs. Lowenstein. I'd say most fall in the middle. Helpful to you if it's helpful to them. Otherwise, you're on your own. And since I was new to town, I was still learning all the finer points of getting by day to day. And learning the finer points of Bishop's Hollow is how you make it down the street without having the back of your head smashed. Got a lot of snipers in Bishop's Hollow. A lot of snipers. Where to start? At the beginning? No. You don't want to hear my sad story. I'm just some loser who losered his way into a lucky situation. Dangerous, painful, bloody as fuck, but in its own way, very, very lucky. And lucrative, too. I have made bank living in Bishop's Hollow. Not that I can spend that money on anything that isn't already in Bishop's Hollow. Amazon doesn't deliver here. There's no DoorDash that'll bring me coconut chicken from Lee's Temple, which was Daddy's favorite. But we do have a library, so that's nice. It's free, so I can't spend my money there. But there are other places like, well, let's get to that. Bishop's Hollow. That's where I should start. A small town in New England, I think. It's the weather that gives it away. Not that I'm a weather guy. No, I'm not telling you. I honestly don't know where I am, because as soon as I accepted the job and shook hands with Mr. Gorman, everything went. Next thing you know, I'm waking up at the processing center in town. Mr. Gorman was back, and he gave me a short orientation. Although, it was only short, because I sort of stopped paying attention. There's a reason I have this job, and I'm so regular at the time. I have issues that don't exactly make me the most desirable employee. Facing on is someone trying to teach me something about those issues. shoulder of me, and he looked up at the video camera on the floor. He turned his attention to me. He had a weird look on his face, kind of like he had been eating, but I wasn't sure. Repeat it, Slim. That's right. I'm the one that deserved this. Yeah. That was hard to hear. Just the two of us. I looked around the orientation room, confused. Just me. The other room was the same. Beige chair after beige chair. Are you okay, Jay? You look uncomfortable. It's like it says. You look so these chairs are too hard to move on. My apologies. May we continue with the orientation? Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead. I said and smiled as I pointed at the PowerPoint presentation that was up on the big screen on the far wall. You went through a lot of trouble to make those slides. Thanks for that. Thanks for making a PowerPoint? Well, yeah. You could have just written on cardboard with markers. That works too. But you went all classy and professional. I mean, nothing is more classy and professional than a solid PowerPoint presentation. Are you fucking with me, JL? I sat up straight and frowned. I don't think so, I said. Do I sound like I'm fucking with you? It can be hard to tell sometimes. Hard for you to tell, or hard for others to tell? Both, I suppose. I shrugged. My daddy could never tell. Mr. Gorman winced. Most people wince when I bring up my daddy. People who saw the news. All right, he said and looked at the PowerPoint slide on the screen. Let's continue, shall we? I nodded, and we continued. I don't remember any of the slides, but I know they were outstanding. Mr. Dorman is very good at PowerPoints. When the orientation was over, Mr. Dorman led me from the orientation room down a hallway that was painted beige, with a set of double doors, beige also, and into a large room with several sets of shelves, as well as plastic bins. Let's get you provisioned, shall we? He said, and went to the first shelf.
With a Venmo debit card, you can Venmo food with your friends. You can use your balance in so many ways. You can Venmo everything. Your gas, you can Venmo this. How about snacks? You can Venmo that. Your favorite band's merch, you can Venmo this. Or their next show, you can Venmo that. Visit venmo.me/debit to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passion. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and phone-free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
Mr. Gorman has a funny way of talking sometimes. I think a therapist of mine once said that ending statements with questions of the sense helped the person believe they had agency in the matter at hand. I don't know what any of that means, but I repeated it to a different therapist once, and she was very impressed by my self-awareness. Then I told her the color of her office walls was all wrong, and she stopped speaking to me for the rest of the day. After gathering all sorts of supplies into a really neat backpack, like toothpaste and a toothbrush, and soap and shampoo, some aromatherapy candles, and a bunch of other stuff to make a home all homey, Mr. Gorman showed me to the front door. Bishop's Hollow, he said as he walked us out onto the set of stone steps that led up to the processing center's front doors. Although, I suppose the steps would have led down to Main Street, since I was already standing at the top and looking down at the pavement. Subtleties like that matter at Bishop's Hollow. Say the wrong thing the wrong way, and you end up blood mixed, believe me. This town is exactly 4 miles square, he continued, sweeping his hand out like he was showing me everything. I only see the town square. Yes, right, well, of course, he replied, seemingly. You can't see it all from here. No, I thought that was what you were showing me.
the town size, but showing you the town square. Confusing. Not really. I think it is. Yes, well, so where do I live? Wasn't the town square over. There was a diner, a barber shop, a beauty parlor, a pharmacy with a soda fountain and lunch counter advertised in the window, a library, a grocery store, a butcher shop, a hardware store, an office supply store, an accountant's office, a toy store, and a doctor's office. Oh, and at the very end, opposite the processing center, is the town hall, which held the courthouse and the police station. I pointed at the windows above the butcher shop. Can I live there? No, Mr. Berman said. No one lives in town. Then what are those rooms for? I asked, still pointing at the windows above the butcher shop. They have various uses, he said, then turned and squinted at me. You did pay attention during the orientation presentation, yes? Oh, yeah, totally, I said. Great slideshow, Mr. Gorman. Loved it. He watched me for a few seconds. When it got uncomfortable, I looked at him and gave him a huge smile. Big smile was reassuring. That's what a different therapist told me once. Your residence will be on the west side of town, he said, and pointed in that direction. Cool, thanks. I hurried down the steps and into the street. I was really eager to see my new place. Nope, the first time I died wasn't on this thing. It was when I ran out into the street. I got hit by the SUV that had come to pick me up and take me to my new place. Whoever was driving really shouldn't have been going so fast. Yes, I stepped right into its path. Yes, I wasn't even looking at all. Yes, the SUV outweighs me by a couple thousand pounds, so I was destined to lose that. But pay attention, right? Then I respawned, which is what I call it, even though it drives everyone else. And Mr. Berman was showing me the town once again about 3 hours later. I'm going to occupy the current jail, he said, and took me with him. Mr. Berman. Once I was in the SUV's backseat, I thanked Mr. Berman and waved at him until he was lost from sight, as the driver turned left at the square and aimed us at what I assumed was west, since I apparently lived in the west side of town. I'm JL, I said to the driver. He just grunted. First day, I said. He grunted again. Already died once. He didn't know. Was that you? I asked. Did you run me over? The driver sighed. I don't hold it against you. I'm going for not looking both ways. Looking at all, really. I was busy thanking Mr. Dorman. He's a nice guy, don't you think? Yeah, me too, I said. And that PowerPoint, if we started, that was sure something. I looked up and put my head into the front seat. Say, do you remember what was in that presentation? Because I sort of spaced on it. I didn't want to tell Mr. Dorman. It would have been a good section how much work you put into that PowerPoint. I waited. The driver didn't respond. Didn't even run. He just right. Sorry, I said. I'm not being distracted. You're just trying to get me to my house in one piece. And I didn't lie. We pulled up to the place I rented. An apartment house? I asked. I have to share space. Get out, the driver said, and the doors unlocked. I hadn't realized what they needed. Good thing we hadn't had a wiring crash in the SUV. Sorry, the other driver. I thought I was getting my own house. You sure said I would have my own house. Get out, he said. And then turned to the street. That's when I noticed he was missing his left eye and most of his mouth. Are you dead? I said, and hurried out of the SUV. I didn't look back at that. It was never the first, because the first one got off light, right out there, and I got run over. The SUV drove off the side. As I stood there, staring at the style of his line that was in the split. The four apartments, all roundhouses, all living rooms. Hey there! There was no response, so I waved hard again. Hey there!
It was hard to believe because she barely opened her mouth. Then rather impressive, as I hurried up the walkway, eager to meet my baby. Not to be rude, but I saw your lips moving. Shut up, she said. Still very rude. Oh, very still. What are we talking about? PowerPoint. It was a great PowerPoint, but I sort of spaced out to right there. A bullet hole appeared in the second mailbox to the right. There was a little name. James Lee Jones. What the heck? I said and turned around to face the street. I hadn't even gotten a letter yet, and someone had shot a hole in my mailbox. The young woman shouted as she dove and tackled me about the waist. Several bullets impacted the apartment house's front wall. Basically, the apartment house caught some light. Inside! Inside! I said, and managed to get the screen door open just enough to squeeze through the apartment house. I wanted to be rude and leave her in the door. I scurried out there on my hands and knees. Several bees went whizzing about my head. Then I realized they weren't bees. They were bullets. She might have questioned where the bullets came from. Bullets and bees. All this showing up in these bullets. The young woman spun around on the bed and then she grabbed the front door and slammed it closed. I heard several bees try to get in. The second she had the door closed, she smashed her hand on the red button and a huge amount of clothing burned down the ceiling from the side windows. I'll do it, Rick, I said. I got to my feet on the I'm JL. I know who you are, she said, and took a couple of deep breaths. We were all informed you'd be coming. There was a whole orientation for us. Was there a PowerPoint? What? A PowerPoint? A slideshow? Was that part of the orientation about me? Yeah. So? Did Mr. Gorman make the PowerPoint? He's really talented. Wow. They weren't kidding. You're fucking nuts. If I had a nickel for every time someone said that to me, I said it loud, I'd have a lot of nickels. I bet you would, she said, then saw that I still had my hand. She shook it. Astrid von Kleimer. I've heard that name before, I said, and put a finger to my chin. Funny, she said and walked on. I showed it to your apartment. Oh no, I have heard your name before. Not following her. I had some thinking to do, and sometimes thinking is done best while you stand perfectly still with your finger in your chin. Now, where would I have heard that name? Von Kleimer Hotels and Resorts, she said. If you think you're being cute, you... No, that's not it, I responded, still trying to puzzle out where I'd heard her name before. What are you doing? She snapped. Again? I said and frowned. Damn it, lost my train of thought. I switched hands. Maybe this finger on my chin will be better. I put your pencil down while I slept, she said inside. That was a letter. It was all over the paper. Nope, I said and kept thinking. Using my other finger wasn't helping any, so I shook my head. It'll come to me. Can I show you your apartment now? She asked. You bet, I said in fear. What's stopping you? Right now, I really wish you could kill others in your household, she said and started up the flight of stairs to the second floor. That would be too much chaos. Are we in the same household? I asked. I mean, if we have different apartments, then wouldn't each apartment be a household? Maybe. We reached the second floor landing, and she pointed at the door on the left. This is me, she said. 2A. Then she pointed to the door on the right. And you are 2B. Then she pulled a small pistol from her back pocket and aimed it right between my eyes. If you're right, this could get very messy. If I'm right about what? I asked as she pulled the trigger. Oh, crap. Nope. Wrong again. I was killed by the SUV, then shot by Astrid, before I ended up getting blown to bits on Mrs. Lowenstein's lawn. All the deaths are hard to keep track of. It was my first day. You didn't even get inside your apartment, Mr. Gorman said, as he opened the door to the SUV and shoved me inside. Are you even trying to stay alive? Aren't we all? Thanks for tuning in. If you'd prefer to listen ad-free and get access to exclusive bonus stories, consider joining Dr. No Sleep Premium. You can try it out completely free with a 7-day free trial at patreon.com/drnosleep. There's no commitment, just a chance to see if you like it. That's patreon.com/drnosleep.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So, they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate, and they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
NBA playoffs in here, and I'm getting my fancy in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know? All sorts of interesting stuff. Even Charles Barkley's greatest fear. Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers pay $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus present in Iowa. Must be first online or conviction.
The door was slammed in my face. I think Mr. Gorman was being rude, but that just didn't feel like a thing Mr. Gorman would do. No one who can make PowerPoint presentations like that man could be rude enough to slam a car door in someone's face. When I finally did get inside my apartment, I was pleasantly surprised. The front room had a couch and 2 chairs, all beige, unfortunately. There was a TV in the corner, one of those old foxy kinds. There was a breakfast bar that separated the front room from the dining room kitchen combo. Just off the kitchen was the bathroom, and you actually had to go through the bathroom to get to my bedroom, which was cool. Kind of like a secret lair. Although, secret lairs shouldn't be painted beige. There was a knock at my door, and I set my backpack down on the couch, glanced out the front window at the street below, then walked over and opened the door. "Hello?" "Hey," Astrid said, and shoved past me into a new apartment. "Come in," I said and closed the door. "Can I get you something to drink?" "I don't know if I have anything since I just walked in, but I'll look. Square cleaner still." "What are you babbling about?" Astrid asked, looking my apartment over. "If I have water in the fridge," I said and walked into the kitchen. "Do you want sparkling or still?" "I don't want any." "Oh, then why'd you ask for a drink?" "I didn't ask for a drink. You offered me one." "That was nice of you. You want one?" "Drink? I just said no. What the fuck is wrong with you?" "Might be the next thing," I said in trouble. She said it. She looked out at the street below. "I do that." I said it moved next to her, so I could share it with you. She said and pushed me away from her. "I just can't. Yes, this whole apartment is sick of me. We can't go walk around and love each other and tell me what we're doing. Seriously, they gave me the biggest tip of this day and I've never received it. Sex. I've never fucked with you without your consent. She was lying. I wish you would kill him. Of course, you were embarrassed hiding that people, so they would have been laughing at everything we did. No, you're going to get out for it, she said. So, even after you killed someone in my household, I'm not required to give you a tour of Bishop Mountain. No, wait. Then I leaned in close and looked about to make sure no one had come into my apartment and was listening to us advance.
Did you pay attention at all during orientation? You bet, I said. What a power. What a power plant. Yeah, you didn't pay attention at all, she said. This should be fun. What should be? Watching you on your first day. Can't wait to see how many times you get killed. Well, so far it's been 3. I haven't given you much yet. You should go check out Minnie. The dying party's great, she said. Pointed out the window. A small bullet hole appeared right by the tip of her finger. Motherfucker, she growled. Threw the window open and she pointed at the yell. Elsa, not now, asshole! Then she leaned back in and slammed the window shut, causing a whole web of cracks to spread from the bullet hole. That's Smith, she said, cocking her head at the cracks that kept spreading from the glass pane. He likes to mess with them, even though shooting into residencies is strictly prohibited. She eyed me as I nodded, agreement. But you know that because you paid attention during orientation, she added. Boy, did I. Anyway, try Nicky's, she said, just as the glass pane, completely cracked, fell out of the window frame. If they want to clean that up, I'll bring a new window in a few minutes. Of course they will, I said, and winked up. Why are you winking? Because you said they, I replied and winked again. They. Man, they really wanted the crazy kids to find you, didn't they? No, they found me in Scranton, I said. I'm not from Scranton, so I'm not sure why I was there. Guess I walked. Then I take a bus. No one takes a bus anymore, she said. That's for poor people. I'm poor, I said. Until now. Now I have all kinds of cash. I'm set. You think you're rich? With all the zeros they threw at me? Yeah, I'm rich. It's not real. I saw the check, I said, and held out my arms as far as I could. It was this big. She studied me for a few minutes. I studied her. She was average height and average weight. I think. I don't know. What's average? Most of the women I'd seen were in hospital gowns, or scrubs, or dead, or wanting to be dead. So who was I to say what was or wasn't average? And she had brown eyes and brown hair. Kinda nice looking. She made a warm place in my belly when I looked at her, so that meant she was nice looking. You done ogling me? I wasn't ogling, I said. I was looking you up and down. You're pretty. Want to be my girlfriend? Oh my fuck, she said and laughed. You are exactly what this place needs. I am? Great, I said. And what does this place need? Less boring and more crazy, she said and shrugged right as something in the kitchen shattered. Bastard spun about and yelled out the window. Knock the fuck off, Newsom! It's his first fucking day! There was a pause, then a voice called out from across the street. Sorry, Astrid. I'll chill until tomorrow. No. No shooting at the house tomorrow either. Residences are off limits. You're a bot. I heard a window slam shut. He seemed nice, I said and smiled and asked. So, boyfriend, girlfriend? Only if I'm really drunk and really horny, she said. Walking to the front door. You come today. For what? So I can watch you die a few more times before tonight's meeting. I'm going to die? Oh, definitely. 3 times? If we're lucky. Wow, this place is so cool. It's so real. I never thought VR could be this real. VR? As in virtual reality? She moved back to me, getting really close so she could look into my eyes. I leaned in. She shoved me away. Don't try to kiss me. I thought we were having a moment. No, I needed to look you in the eye to see if you were fucking with me. Never without your consent. That's rapey creepy, so stop saying it. Sorry. You really think we're in some virtual reality game or some shit? I don't know if it's a game, but how else do you explain being able to respawn after being killed? I don't have to explain it, she said. It was already explained in great detail in that slideshow. A masterwork, if you ask me. You keep saying shit like that like you mean something. But I knew you didn't even pay attention for one single slide. The first slide said, hello and welcome to Bishop's Hollow. I responded, pretty proud of myself. And what did the second slide say? Something equally as amazing. Yeah, this point is really fun. Great! I love fun! She went and opened my front door. Then let's get to it, she said as she waved me through. hung like a horse. So don't forget to get drunk and horny later. I don't want you to miss out. Whatever, she said, then grabbed my arm and yanked me out of the fight.
Hey, business owners, you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business and Mission Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer at 7/16/25.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into a success. Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Our romance was already blooming, and I hadn't even spent one night in Bishop's Island. Play it and play it. I don't know what that means. I saw it on a mug once that an orderly always drank his coffee out of. He said he was great with the ladies. He was the one who handed out the paper cups with our bills, so I trusted him 100%. He'd never have a mug that lied. Not that guy. Player's gonna play. Jail! Astrid yelled, snapping her fingers in front of my face. Stop saying player's gonna play. Let's get going. The mug never lies, I replied, and followed her downstairs. That's not the craziest thing you've said so far, she said when we got to the front door. Okay, last bit of advice. I love advice, I said in front. So I hope it's not the last. Last for today, she said. Avoid Mrs. Lowenstein. As much as I want to see her get all exploded and shit, she's gotten out of hand. And we're trying not to encourage her. Right? Astrid was the one who gave me that bit of advice. Hello, is Mr. Gordon. I knew it wasn't in his PowerPoint presentation, because I distinctly remember someone saying it to me. Not that I'm disparaging Mr. Gorman's work of art, but even a PowerPoint can't tell you all the secrets of the world. Those slideshows try so very hard, but they can't be everything to everyone all the time. Avoid Mrs. Lowenstein, I said in mind. Got it. 15 minutes later, I was screaming on Mrs. Lowenstein's front lawn. In my defense, before she yelled about why walkways were invented, she didn't say there were cookies. I do love freshly baked cookies. She never said they were freshly baked. She just said she had them, and I could ask them if I came to her porch. Looking back on the moment, now I feel like it was a sign. And knowing what I know about Mrs. Lowenstein now, I should never have fallen for the cookie trick. Not Oreos. Who could resist the promise of Oreos? After being killed by Mrs. Lowenstein ago, and after my third respawn day, Mr. Gorman stood with me at the top of the process and patted me on the shoulder. I thought it was going to be a major problem if I told you to get the but it turns out you're just a minor problem. So we could hurry me along down the stairs, just like my daddy used to do. After picking myself up from the fall down the stairs, I looked up to the top of the steps to give Mr. Gorman a thumbs up. It's already done. Probably back inside to make an awesome power plant. It's hard without perfection. Am I getting fine? I shouted. There was no response. I sat down in the dark and waited for the SUV to show up. The sun began to set, and I got the feeling that I wasn't getting it. For the most part, all of the residents of Bishop's Island gathered around the house. I stayed and watched them move up to the grass in the sunlight display. There were beige folding chairs and celebrated with a small gazebo, and people began to take
late, Grady said and shook his head. Come on, let's get you a seat. You never want to be late for or miss a meeting. What's the meeting about? I asked, as I followed him around the rows of seats until we found two at the end of the middle row. She said you were clueless too, Grady said as he took his seat. I sat next to him and nodded. Astrid's my girlfriend, I said. I know we just met, but she brought it up, and I didn't want to be rude. I'm not surprised you say that, Grady said, then pointed at the gazebo. Meeting's gonna start. Pay attention. Keep quiet. Mr. Dorman appeared at the gazebo steps and held up his hands. Mr. Dorman! Woohoo! I shouted and clapped, then I spun my fist in the air. Woo! Thank you, J.L., Mr. Dorman said. Bishop's Hollow, let's welcome James Lee Torrance as our latest resident. But call him J.L., unless you want to be split up the middle. Oh, I don't do that anymore, I said as all heads turned to stare at me. I was rehabilitated. The heads stared. Then they broke out into laughter. I laughed too, because one should never waste an opportunity to join in laughing maniacally with new friends. All right, Mr. Dorman said. Quiet down. We have business to attend to. A hand shot up from the second row, middle seat. It was an older but very attractive woman. If Astrid hadn't already been my girlfriend, I would have asked the older but very attractive woman to me. She seemed nice. No questions yet, Nina, Mr. Dorman said. Tell me to again, and I'll slice your balls off and put them in my ball jar. The older but very attractive woman named Nina screamed at Mr. Dorman. How many balls you got in there now, Nina? A man shouted from the very back row. I didn't turn around to see him, because Mr. Dorman was clapping his hands together very loudly, and loud clapping hands are always sure to keep my attention. Knock it off, Mr. Dorman said. Let me get through the evening's announcements, and then we'll go through the rankings. You're going to be on there, Grady said, leaning close so only I could hear. I am. After today? Yeah, definitely. Cool. He eyed me and frowned. You say so. First announcement has to do with the Valentine's Day dance, Mr. Dorman said. There won't be one next year. No one reacted. I would have been bummed if I was told there was no Valentine's Day dance next year. After the insane massacre at this year's dance, management has decided that the cost is just too much, Mr. Dorman continued. The printers had to work overtime for 6 whole days before everyone could be completed. Online metrics showed a distinct displeasure at this delay. No more dances. Of any kind? Someone asked. Or just Valentine's Day? Since Valentine's Day is the only dance we put on, then yeah, all dances. I raised my hand. No, don't, Grady said, and yanked my hand down. Mr. Dorman looked our way and I waved. You are something, that's for sure, Grady said. Mr. Dorman sighed. Yes, J.L.? Hi, I shouted as all heads turned to me. I'm James Lee Torrance, but I go by J.L. Don't call me James or Lee or James Lee. Definitely don't call me Shirley. No one laughed. I should have made it powerful. Anyway, I just want to say that while I disagree with Mr. Dorman regarding the banning of all dances, we should remember that he works very hard and has lots of important slideshows to make, so let's not waste his time. I waited for the reply. They didn't reply. It made me a little sad. Doesn't everyone agree? I asked, stood up. I looked about and saw angry faces. Why were they angry? I was praising the great Mr. Dorman. Thank you, J.L. If we could get on with the meeting now, please, Mr. Dorman said. You all should apply, I said, and started to get that feeling down deep. Not the fluttery one when I look at Astrid. No, the other one. I'm not saying you should applaud for what I said, I continued, the feeling growing stronger and stronger. But you should show your appreciation for all the hard work this man does for you. I put my hands together. Looked at Mr. Dorman. Thank you, Mr. Dorman. I said, nice speech. Grady leaned over and said, make 0 sounds. Thank you, I said and waited some more. Then all heads turned and walked away, their attention back on Mr. Dorman. They were clapping. Not that kind of meeting, Grady replied.
hand snapped out and chopped him across the throat. His eyes bugged out and he tried to cough, but there was no air going through that crushed window. Hail! Mr. Gorman yelled. People were up on their feet and coming for me. You don't want to clap for Mr. Gorman? I shouted. Then what the fuck do any of you assholes even need hands for? The first hand that reached me was ripped off at the wrist. I had a lot of experience removing hands, beginning with my dad's. All that slapping and hitting and punching just wasn't very nice. I didn't like it at all. So I took it aside. Just like with all the assholes trying to jump me. A woman screamed, and I jammed her hand down my throat. I think it was right here, I'm not sure. Then some old fart tried to stab me with a very long knife. I took the knife from him because he was too old for something so dangerous. But then I felt bad, so I gave it back. In the right ear. Just stuck it right in. I didn't take it down. When I came in, I gave it to him with an angel. I took it. He didn't feel it right. I shoved a chair down the way to get it. I fell. All I had to do was pick up an empty chair, scramble his legs wide, and slam it down on the fire. One hit the chair leg through the guts, another through the chest, a third took a hard hit to the eye socket, but it bounced off. I don't know about the fourth leg, because I was yanked off my feet and thrown backward across the rows of chairs. I was a little dazed, so I didn't defend myself as I should have. Took a few shots to the head. Then someone reached down to pick me up. Big mistake. I sunk my teeth into one of those wrists and bit as hard as I could. When I pulled back, my teeth tore tendons and muscle and big skin. As whoever it was screamed, I shook my head back and forth like a rabid dog until the bones broke and the hand popped off. Jail! Stop! With blood dripping down my front and a nasty taste of bad cologne in my mouth, I shoved away from the guy who tried to grab me. He was screaming and screaming, so I chopped his neck to shut him up. Mr. Gorman was rushing me and had something to say. I didn't get to hear him, as the lights went out just after I felt a nasty bit of pain in the back of my head. When I came to, I was back in the processing room, seated in the center seat in the center row of the orientation room. Mr. Gorman was sitting on a stool in the front of the room. Hey, Mr. Gorman, I said. Great beat. I looked about. Why are we here? Something happened. Other than you going crazy, mutilating several residents? Yeah. He didn't sound happy about what he was saying, which was weird, because I had been ecstatic that a bunch of people were mutilated for being so rude. No, J.L., nothing happened. They died. The two you chopped in the neck did, yes, he answered. The rest will live. Although, several are missing either one or both of their hands. Most likely, they will set themselves up to be killed, so their clones can be reprinted whole. No one wants the disadvantage of having missing extremities if they don't have to. Not at Bishop's Hollow. Well, if they die, they'll just respawn like me, I said, and gave Mr. Gorman 2 thumbs up. Then I looked at the screen on the wall. Am I going to see a new PowerPoint? No, J.L., no PowerPoint today. Why not? Because you don't seem able to actually comprehend what you are being taught by the slides. What do you mean? The PowerPoint you were shown had all the information you needed to be successful in Bishop's Hollow. Yet, you retained none of it. Well, that's just not true, Mr. Gorman, I protested, because a protest was in order. I couldn't believe Mr. Gorman didn't think I paid attention to his meticulously built PowerPoint presentation. From the font to the spacing of the lines, he knew his slides. I paid attention to it all. Where are we, J.L.? Mr. Gorman asked. Bishop's Hollow. And what is Bishop's Hollow? A virtual reality simulation for badass killers like me. For the criminally insane, you mean? Oh, are there crazy people in here too? There is no in here, J.L. You were not in a simulation. I laughed and waved the hand at him. Oh, Mr. Gorman, you should have been a stand-up comic. That was hilarious. I leaned forward, eager to hear his next joke. Next, you'll tell me that I actually died. You did. 4 times on your first day. It's not a record, but it is an achievement. I've always been an overachiever. My daddy used to say I could win a first-place trophy in any subject, as long as it was for being stupid, being lazy, being off my rocker, being violent, or being obsessed with PowerPoint presentations. Anyone that many first place trophies has to be an overachiever. Sweet Christ. Amen, I added. He left his stool and walked down the aisle to my row. Then he took a seat right next to me and patted me on the shoulder. You have had several traumatic brain injuries in your life, J.L. That is why you weren't convicted of all those horrible things you did. It was easy to see that you weren't fit to stand trial. No proof in the courtroom. Well, that's not true, Mr. Norman said. There are plenty of presentations and... Wait, never mind. I'm not getting into an argument about where PowerPoints are and are not allowed. Me neither, because I'd never argue with you, Mr. Norman. Do you remember what you did? To all those people? To your father? Oh, I remember what I did to Dad, that's for sure. You take a man's hands off, and he can't hold his pecker when he pees, or wipes his ass after he shits. I didn't think that one through. The police found your father emaciated and near death in his bedroom. He was covered in his own filth. Shouldn't have lost his hands, I said in trust. Wait, near death? He died before he got to the hospital. Phew! I wouldn't be an overachiever if he hadn't died. Sure, right. But, do you remember the others? He pulled something from his pocket. A remote. Then he aimed it at the screen and clicked it. Pictures of young women and young men and old women and old men began to fill the screen. Hey! I know that guy! I shouted as I pointed at the screen. I used my finger to point, since I didn't have a remote. Go back! Mr. Norman went back one picture. That's my lawyer, I said proudly. He was expensive. He was a public defender, in over his head when you decided you didn't want to be classified as mentally unfit to stand trial. You literally bit off all of his fingers and headbutted him so many times and so badly that he's blind now. So not all the pictures are of people I killed. That's a little misleading, Mr. Norman. Mr. Norman sighed. It can be tiring being wrong sometimes. Anyway, let's move on, he said and clicked the remote. The pictures went away. This is not a virtual reality simulation. It's not, I asked and looked around. Then what's up with all the beige? It's a soothing color. Lame. Yes, well, the color of the paint doesn't matter. What about the color of the chairs? Do they matter? Mr. Norman sighed. What has happened with you, J.L., is that you have been included in a very exclusive, very secret project. Bishop's Hollow is real, as real as any place on earth. It's just special in many ways. Bishop's Hollow is real? I asked, and shook my head. Mr. Norman, you're pulling my leg. It can't be real. And why is that? Because I died 4 times, just like you said. People can't die and come back to life. That only happens in video games. You respawn when you die in them. Just like here. I respawn. No, J.L., you actually died. 4 times. And you weren't respawned. You were printed. The body you are in right now is a clone of your original. In fact, the body you arrived in was a clone. Officially, you died of brain aneurysm in the hospital. So, they wasn't time. And deserved the first place trophy. Still on the record. He slowly reached over and patted my shoulder. Understand? So. before everything went off. Before you killed him. You say so. Well, last week, Grady was hired by one customer to kill Mrs. Simons. I know who that is. Leslie and I shrugged because I didn't want to hurt him. Grady killed Mrs. Simons with a shovel just as he was out of the business. After the job was done, several $1,000s were deposited into his account. The company took 85% and 15% of the was as he sees fit. 85% and doing some quick math. That's almost 100%. It is. But the point is that Grady was assigned a job completed. The customer was happy and they rewarded him. And the company for his work. Odds are they'll ask him to kill Mrs. Simons again down the road. Why is she in the road? Why? You said Grady will kill Mrs. Simon again down the road. Why is she in the road? It's an expression. May I continue? I know. Thank you. Well, Mrs. Simon was killed. A little microchip implanted in her brain sent a signal to this building. That signal uploaded all current data, memories, if you will, and a new body was printed out in one of the many cloned bats we have on hand. She was back to normal in just a couple hours. I laughed. That's funny. Do you expect me to believe that instead of being in a virtual reality simulation, that people can be cloned and have all their memories restored in the new body? That's exactly what I want you to believe. Now who's crazy? I chuckled. Everyone knows cloning isn't real. Now, virtual reality simulations, those are real. You think that cloning hasn't been invented? But a fully immersive stimulation, including total sensory integration with instant recall is possible? Well, duh. I see, he said and rubbed his face. Then he shrugged and patted my shoulder. You know what? It doesn't matter what you believe, as long as you play the game when instructed to. The game? You just admitted this is a simulation. No, JL. It's what we informally call our platform. The game. Our customers pay to have criminally insane people like you move to Bishop's Hollow. Then they pay to watch the 16 million live camera feeds we have set up. And they also pay to have residents killed based on their whim preferences. Not all are looking for justice, unfortunately. Many customers end up forgetting about their original targets. They just start ordering kills at random. That's why we call it the game. Do you understand? Nope, I said and shook my head. Honesty is the best policy. You should make a PowerPoint with all that information. It'll be easier to understand that way. I made a PowerPoint on all of this, JR. You watched it yesterday. And I bet it was fantastic. Mr. Gorman smiled at me and he thumped his head. Okay, it's tough love time, JL, he said and put his hand back on my shoulder. The customers, especially your patrons, are getting tired of your obsession with PowerPoint presentations. They are asking that you stop bringing up PowerPoints, or there will be consequences. Consequences? Yes, JL, consequences. What kind of consequences? The deadly kind. Like cancer? No, not like cancer. More like you being killed in horrible ways from it. Not sure about that kind. People just do me a favor and stop talking about PowerPoint presentations, okay? I shrugged. All right. I guess I can start talking about them. I felt dirty even saying those words. Great, JL. That's just great. Cool. Can I go now? I'm a little hungry. Do I have enough money in my account to get dinner at Nikki's dinner? It's lunchtime. We didn't reprint you until the next day. That way, you and I could have this little talk before I send you out into town. Oh, got it. Do I have enough in my account for lunch then? So, you understood that part of what I explained to you? What part? That residents here get a certain percentage of money paid for their work. They do? What kind of percentage? Mr. Gorman sighed. Never mind. Yes, you can go now. I'll walk you out. And
being the stand-up guy he is, Mr. Dorman did lock me out. We stood at the top of the steps and stared out at Bishop's Hollow, my new home. Can I have a camera? Sure. What? Do you need it for surveillance or night vision or what? It helps if you are specific, so the supply team can get you the right camera. I just need a basic one that can take pictures for the PowerPoint presentation I want to make about Bishop's Hollow. Shit, Mr. Dorman said, and hurried back inside the processing center. Mr. Dorman? I called after him. Where are you going? You said shift. Do you need to go poop? Then it all went dark. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd prefer to listen ad-free and get access to exclusive bonus stories, consider joining Dr. No Sleep Premium. You can try it out completely free with a 7-day free trial at patreon.com/drnosleep. There's
What? Huh? Kinda have to, don't I?
no commitment, just a chat.
Did your mom not fill you in on anything? My check was only $250. There's $200 for you to pay for more of my fucking rent. I don't have shit. We did the whole blender thing. I called the day off, and then it was the fucking day off on fucking Friday. Only got paid for 2 fucking days. I ain't got nothing. So it was like damn near just a little bit cheaper than what I had, and I said, I nope, I ain't fucking doing it. So there's money up there that we put in the bank, and hopefully we don't get kicked out because the remaining balance is due on the 10th. Today is the fucking 11th. So we gotta give them fucking something. You know, all I had was $250. I bought a stuffed crust pizza yesterday, and that was literally it. And your mom take me to fucking Domino's. Originally took me to Walmart, walked in Walmart, looked at the prices, didn't have the fucking milk, looked at the cheaper ones, and nope, not fucking, they were like little kid fucking razors, fucking, like, fuck this. I don't have enough, sorry. I don't know. If you don't want to take me to work, then I'll fucking call in and say I don't have a fucking ride. Huh? What time did you get home?
you